Hi everybody, I'm Michael Mercy.
And I'm Matt Crandall.
And this week we're going to be reviewing Troy Duffy's follow-up to Boondock Saints, the Boondock Saints 2 All Saints Day. It's been, was it like 9 years, 10 years since the first Boondock Saints? Troy Duffy hasn't done a single thing since the first Boondock Saints. So I guess we both like the first one,
Yeah.
right? Safe to say. A lot of hype and a lot of high expectations for the second one, and you know what? It was pretty good. I don't think it was as good as the first one, but you know how many sequels are. But it was entertaining from start to finish, and the tone was a little up and down, but I guess the first one was like that too.
Yeah. It does feel like a lot of more of the same, which ends up working in its favor, because if you like the first one, you're going to like this one.
Yeah.
There's not a lot that's going to turn you off. It still has that, some of the dialogue feels like a guy just trying to write the filthiest line to try and be really funny and hilarious. And a few cutesy hipster trying to be like, Tarantino light sort of style. But it works in this context. And, Duffy is talented enough that it just moves and moves and moves. So even if something is really stupid or kind of off, you're on to the next thing before you have time to really notice that.
Gonna give you a couple spoilers here. I won't specifically spoil scenes, but spoilers coming, so you're warned. I did like how he sometimes makes fun of his own stuff. Like the movie starts off with these brothers who have long hair now and long beards, and they're in hiding in Ireland, I'm guessing. And then when they have their big scene where they, get ready and they're going to go back in town and kick some more ass, they chop all their hair off. And I said to Crandall, I wish they kept it. Like, they kind of look, I don't know if it's cool, but at least it's different.
Yeah.
Later on in the movie, they're like, why did we chop our hair off? Like,
Yeah, if we wanted to be inconspicuous and blend in and not be recognized, we should have just left the Jesus mane on.
And the
I thought that
response-
too as they were cutting it off.
And what was the response? It seemed like a good
It seemed like a
idea.
good idea at the time. It seemed like the thing to do.
Yeah.
Because they needed that moment in the movie to just be a real kick-ass moment of them
Yeah.
back in action.
And then later on, they find some drugs, and one of the brothers tastes it and he goes, "That's heroin." And the other brother's like,
Calls him out on it. How
Yeah.
do you know that that's heroin? What are you talking about?
So yeah, there's moments in the script where it's like he does what all bad movies do, and then he calls himself on it. So I thought that was kind of cool of him to do that.
Yeah, and the action sequences are good. Lots of really cool set pieces, and the way that they do the action is unique and fun. And for just this kind of gritty, fun, violent, crime movie, it does deliver a lot of entertainment.
Yeah, he's really imaginative. I couldn't help but think a lot of the time what he could have done if he had more of a budget, though. Like the action scenes are cool, but every time, it's like, oh, if he just had a little more money, this would be a Tarantino scene or a John Woo scene.
Could elevate it a bit.
So it seemed like, oh, it's just too bad that he didn't get that bigger budget, because he did a really great job with what he had to work with. I don't know what the budget was, but
It was pretty low, I believe. After watching Overnight, and he just came off like such a dick in that movie, and he burnt every bridge, and it's taken him 10 years to make the sequel because nobody wanted to fund it, nobody wanted to work with Troy Duffy. Half the time when I was watching the movie, I was almost rooting against it because I was like, Troy Duffy is such a dick. And we've heard, this is his redemption and he's learned his lesson and stuff. And yeah, watching the movie, okay, I'm willing to give this guy another chance now, because it does seem like even in some of the special features, he's sort of learned his lesson and, paid his dues now.
yeah. Best part, worst part.
Best part, probably the Russian roulette scene, which was pretty intense and really well staged. And I really like the addition of Clifton Collins Jr. as Romeo, and his scene with his guns and his catchphrase kind of thing. I really like that stuff, even if it was over the top and he gets a bit goofy, but I really liked his character and thought it was entertaining.
Mm-hmm. Worst part.
Worst part, the budget, you can tell it is fairly low. So there are a few moments that felt really amateur, really indie, and not necessarily to the movie's benefit. Stuff that took away, and I was like, yeah, that feels like a TV movie rather than a big movie. So some of the stuff like that really took me out of it because I was noticing, you know, yeah, they cheaped out on that shot, or oh, they cut away there because they couldn't actually do so and so thing.
Yeah.
So for you, best part, worst part?
I'd say the best part was when the brothers are on that scaffolding and they're about to do that insane jump off of the building and crash through the side window. It seemed like it was taking forever to get to the point, but when they finally did it, I was like,
Yeah.
holy shit, like here we go. And it's rare, you know, like you can watch a $200 million movie and never have, you know, like that feeling when you're going straight down the behemoth at Canada's Wonderland. And that's what that scene is when they finally, after all the bickering, jump off that scaffolding and they're doing that thing. I was like, wow. The actual crashing through the glass was a low budget indie moment. That was like, that should have been a little more in your face and oomph, but that's budget. What can you do? Worst part was Gorgeous George's neon hot pink European cut bikini.
I forgot about that. That would probably make it in for mine too.
That was horrible. The fact that that actor spends more than I think half of his screen time in like a Speedo is unnecessary, I think is the word.
And it didn't add anything to the movie other than just groaning. Like, not needed. Didn't add anything, just unnecessary.
Billy Connolly, we should say something about him.
Yeah, he's great as always.
Yeah.
Back as, you know, the father of the Saints. And he gets some good scenes.
It was cool getting into his history.
Right. And the history was kind of cool, but I guess one of the other things I would have mentioned, overall, the actual plot of the movie, I felt like an excuse just to have a sequel.
Yeah.
When it was all over, I even said to you guys, what was the big reveal that, like, the overall plot that was working against the Saints, it didn't carry any weight or gravity. So when we finally get, like, the big reveal of what's been going on and who's lured them out and why, it just felt like who lured them out? The fans who wanted a sequel. Why? Because we wanted to see another Boondock Saints movie.
Yeah.
And there wasn't any gravity or weight to the actual plot. And that ties into Billy Connolly and his past, which serves as the plot. And those scenes were fun to watch, to see how this guy became, you know, such a seasoned killer.
Yeah.
But it just felt like sequelitis there.
Yeah. And I gotta say, it's another big spoiler, but one of my favorite parts of the first movie was Willem Dafoe's character. So he's back. You wouldn't think he's back. And he's not back for very long. It's at the very, very end, last couple minutes, but knocked my socks off. I was totally shocked to see him back. You know, I thought there's no way in hell that Willem Dafoe is going to work with this Troy Duffy guy again. And it's so cool, like, after having watched the whole movie, which was pretty entertaining, and then to see Willem Dafoe, they got every single guy back. Even Rocco is back. You know, he's the ghost, and he appears in a couple, like, kind of dream sequences. It's really cool to see the whole team came back, even this Dafoe guy who really didn't even have to come back. Kind of makes me feel like, you know, they've all kind of given their stamp of approval to Troy Duffy and given him that second lease.
For sure. And it really does set it up for, you know, Boondock Saints 3, Saints Go Crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that one, for sure.
Thanks for watching. See you next time.